two of my favourite smartphones of all time, the Galaxy S7 and the Edge alternative. I'm sure a lot of you were expecting me to make this video at some point, and today's the day. So hey guys, my name is Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and this is the comparison and head-to-head between the two Samsung 7 series. The differences in spec are minimal to say the very least. Both have Exynos 8890, 4GB of RAM, microSD expansion, 12MP cameras, the list just goes on honestly. But there is a small handful of differences. The Edge sports a 20% larger battery, 8% larger display, and an option for 128GB of storage. So with those minor details out of the way, what about the physical differences? Well, in the hand, the diminutive dimensions of the S7 put the device in a separate class from the Edge. That said, I would argue that the S7 feels better in the hand than the Edge variant for a couple of reasons. The rear glass feels a lot more tapered and rounded to the edges, naturally curving to the shape of your palm, and ironically the front glass is ergonomically superior in my honest opinion, as phantom touches are close to non-existent on the flat version. However, over the 12 plus months of S7 Edge ownership, I never remember getting any phantom touches. Maybe this is just the way I hold the phone. Raw numbers show the S7 to be a thicker but overall smaller and lighter handset, though I saw a smaller difference than I was really expecting. Of course, both have IP68 water and dust resistance and the same I/O, and oddly important to me, the best tactile buttons in the business, with those incredibly satisfying separate volume buttons, just something to take note. The displays share the same resolution of 2560 by 1440, and Samsung's Super AMOLED displays are fantastic, whether you prefer the smaller 5.1 inch or the 5.5 inch of the S7 Edge. It's strange because although you'd think the larger display would provide a better multimedia experience, the curved front glass does make video awkward to watch at times as light reflects on the curve, making for some tricky to combat glare. The flat 5.1 inch panel is one I prefer due to ergonomics alone, but I will admit the larger panel does look stunning, like really good. Of course they share the same 16:9 form factor, making the phones feel larger because of the wider panel, but I really like this aspect ratio and those sharp corners are sorely missed on the newer devices. One thing to mention is that even though the displays are different physical sizes, since they share the same resolution, the S7 is a tad sharper, though it's tit for tat because the Edge has a higher screen to body ratio. Battery life is the other rather large difference between these two. Of course the 20% in number increase makes a difference, but the real difference is in the actual usage and screen on time. I found that the Edge model lasted significantly longer with a healthy mix of video watching, game playing, social media browsing, and music listening. I'd say that if you were a serious power user though, they're not perfect. The S7 Edge is a safer bet, but I'd also say that they both have good battery life, and what I'm going to call the battery to screen to body ratio is significantly better than those of the competition. It's worth mentioning that you get Quick Charge 2.0 and Qi wireless charging on whichever you buy, but what's worrying is that if you're buying used, you may have to deal with a significantly more degraded battery compared to phones that do not use quick charging. Now that the differences are out the way, I'm going to cover the bits and bobs that are shared, like a mini review kind of thing. Firstly, performance is really good. It can slow down, but recommendations are that you replace the battery if you can. 2. Reinitialize, that means factory reset. And 3. Avoid fast charging where possible. I maintain that the 8890 is a fantastic chip, even after a couple of years. Samsung's optimization isn't bad, and 4GB of RAM under 8.0 Oreo is more than enough, although I will mention that the Snapdragon 820 variant is significantly worse in a lot of people's opinions in my comment section. I really like the off-screen buttons for the fact that you can focus more on the items on the display, and I really like playing games on these. Not sure why I like playing games on the Samsungs, but there you go. The cameras on both front and back are shared. They are actually really good, even from 2016. The selfie cameras are 5MP with wide lenses. I really like the wide nature, but low light and sharpness isn't quite there. It's a hit and miss, but whilst I prefer the selfies, Kelsey prefers the 6B selfies. The rear 12MP cameras are great. I found stabilization, low light, dynamic range, sharpness, and the camera apps to be on point, and it's really not surprising due to Samsung's track record of having great smartphone cameras. They don't see the same major improvements as something like displays over the past 3 or 4 years of smartphones. Of course, you do get the slow motion and pro features, and all in a phone at this price. Talking of price, you can find these between £150 and £250 on eBay, which is where I get 99% of my smartphones for those of you asking. Fantastic value for money. Extra features include fast Wi-Fi, a headphone jack, no notch, and a timeless design that holds up in so many situations. Sure, the speakers aren't the best, and there's no Type-C. Oh, and forget any kind of dual camera setup. But as I stated previously, this value doesn't show up often in the tech space, and the iPhone 6s has some real competition in the world of used smartphones with stellar value. In conclusion, I love this pair of smartphones. If it was up to me, I'm picking the Edge simply for the larger battery, but Kelsey is happy with his regular S7, and I'm sure a lot of you will prefer that due to the non-curved front glass. And that's it from me, guys. Please do like, dislike, comment and subscribe if you're new around here so you never miss a video like this one. Also, please do check out my Patreon, my social media and my Discord. All links are in the video description. I do want to give a massive shout out to my patrons for your amazing continued support. Thank you so much for that. I've been Ryan Thomas with Failtech, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.